Okay, so if you notice here, we do have a net. And what we're going to do, we first have to identify what are the dimensions that we're working on. So if you look at the first one, we have the top one, and that's going to be 8. And what would this be right here?
8.
It's not 8.
6.
It's 6.
4.
Okay, and then you have 5 and 6. This would be 8, so what would this be?
5.
5. This would be 6, and that's going to be 5. This is going to be 8 and 5. And then we have this. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and multiply it, the dimensions. So you have 5 times 6 is 30. 6 times 8 is 48. 5 times 8 is 40. 5 times 6 is 30. 8 times 5 is 40. And then we have 8 times 6 is 48. So now that we have all of them, because it's asking for total surface area, we're going to add them all up. So we have 48 plus 48. That's going to give you 96. Then we have 40 plus 40 is 80. And then we have 30 plus 30. That's going to be 60. So we're going to add them all up. So 96 plus 80 is 176 plus 60. That's going to give us 236, which is letter B. And if you notice, the dimensions are incorrect, guys. So we're just going to go ahead and cross them out. So now that we did that one, remember, if it was asking for lateral surface area, we would need to identify what are the bases. And in this case, I would think that those are the bases. Usually in a rectangular prism, they'll tell you what the bases are. So make sure that you understand between total surface area and lateral surface area. Now, number 2 says, give the equation needed to solve for the missing angle. So what do we know about triangles? And the angles. The sum of the angles equals to what? 180 degrees. So in order for me to solve this, what would I need to do? Don't we add 54 and 75? So if you add those, that's 129. So then all I have to do is then subtract that from 180. But are they asking us to do the answer for number 2?
No.
No, it's just asking for an equation. So what would be the equation? Would be A, so all the angles equal to 90? No, right? It doesn't. How about B? Do we just add 54 plus X to give me 180? No. How about C? Do we add 129 plus X equals 180? Maybe. How about D? 2X equals to 129? No. So then my answer is letter C. Now if you look at number 3, it does say to determine the measure of angle C. So when you determine the measurement, you're still looking for this part. So then when you subtract them, that's going to equal to what?
But Miss, don't we need like those little circle, semicircle things for that thing?
Okay, so once you subtract it, 180 minus 129, it does give you 51 degrees. So angle C, the measurement for angle C will equal to 51 degrees. Okay, so on Friday, we actually went ahead and I introduced volume of a prism. But last year we did volume of a prism, except we only did the rectangular prism. Now remember, rectangular prism has a base that are rectangles. Triangular prisms have a base that are triangles. Remember those two. Now when you're doing a rectangular prism, all you have to do is identify the base, because when you're looking at your reference chart, The reference chart is going to have just a capital B. So when you're doing this, you're going to have the formula V equals capital B times H. Now remember, capital B means the area of the base. So when you're looking at the capital B, you're looking in your formula for where it says area of the base. Now, if you look in your reference chart, it should have a section that it's actually says capital B on it. And we'll go over that in a little bit. So it says rectangular prism here. So we're going to find the volume of it. Now, we have to identify the bases. So what do you think the bases are? Is it the small rectangles or is it the long rectangles?
Small.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go with the small one. So when we do that, we actually going to find capital B first. So when we do capital B, it's what we're using as area equals base and height. Remember that. Okay, once you do that, then what is the base for that, the base of the prism? What are the dimensions we need for the base of the prism? So that's what? What's the dimension? 6 and what? What would this part be? 2. So we're going to multiply 6 times 2. So 6 times 2 is 12, and that's going to be 12 square centimeters. Now that we know the base, the capital B, area of the base, then we're going to go ahead and solve for volume. Now, volume is capital B times the height of the prism. So volume is going to be, we know capital B is area of the base, so that's going to be 12. And what would be the height in this case?
I sneezed.
Okay, so what would be the height? We have capital B, area of the base, which we found, which was 12. So what is the height of the prism? Didn't we use 2 for the height of the base? 11. So now that we know those two, all we have to do is multiply. So 12 times 11 is going to give us what? It's 132 square centimeters. Cubic centimeters. Remember, we're doing volume, so now it's going to be a cubic measurement. Okay, now for the triangular prism has bases too. And remember, because it's called triangular, that means your bases are going to be triangles. So we're going to shade those in. So now we could find the capital B, which is area of your base. So let's go ahead and do that. So capital B, what is the formula for a triangle? Half of base and height, right? So then now we're going to do half. What's your base of your triangle? 11. What's the height of the triangle? The height of the triangle.
20.
Yeah, it's 6. So then half of 11 times 6 is 66. So what would be half of 66? So it's 33 square meters. 33 square meters. So now that we know the area of the base, then now we could go ahead and do the volume of the prism. So what we're doing is we're going to go ahead and find volume. Remember, it's capital B times the height of the prism. So if we already know the area of the base is 33, what would be the height of the prism? 20. It's 20. The height of the prism, remember I told you that that's what's in between the bases. So that's going to be 20. So now all I have to do is multiply 33 times 20.
600.
So that's going to be 660. And this is going to be cubic meters. And that's all we have to do. Okay, now if you look at this next one, number 3, it says a triangular prism and it's laying on its side. All that means that it's still a triangular prism because the shape is triangles. So we're going to go ahead and shade in the bases. Remember, we always shade in the bases because that helps us out. Now, what we need to do is find the area of the base first. Find the area of the base first. So we have capital B, capital B, and what's the formula for area of the base?
Or base times height.
A equals half of the base times height because it is a triangle. Okay? So once you know that, then you go ahead and find the base. The base is what? 10. What's the height of the triangle? 5. So then, in this case, I'm going to do half of 10 times 5 is 50. And what's half of 50? So it's 25. So that means we have 25 square centimeters. Now that we know that, then we could go ahead and find the volume. So we still have volume equals area of the base times the height of the prism. So we know area of the base is 25. So the height of the prism, remember, that's the amount that's between the bases. So that's going to be 14. So when you do that, you multiply it. So 25 times 14,
150.
that's going to be 350 cubic centimeters.
Miss Frost.
Okay, number 4 is a little bit different because now they're telling you to determine the height. So we need to find the height of the prism if the volume of the prism is 45 cubic feet. So they already gave you volume. They were giving you volume. So then what I need to do is just do V equals capital B and H. But I need H. I was given the area of the base, but not really given to us. They gave us the dimension for it. So what we need to do is find the area of the base. So the capital B is what we're looking for. Okay, so capital B, what we're doing is area of the base. Keep forgetting to change this correctly. So in this case, you have area equals base times height. So the base and height, or the dimensions for the area, the base, is going to be 15 times 3. So this is going to be 45 square feet. So now that we know that, then I could substitute capital B with what we found. So in this case, we have V equals 45 times the height. But we already knew what the volume was. So the volume was 45 also. So then what number can I multiply with 45 to give me 45? So remember, when we're solving equations, we're still missing a measurement. We still have a variable. We have to actually divide it. So 45 divided by 45 is 1, and you're left with H. So that means that the height is 1 foot.
That was N.
So H is equal to 1 foot. So if you look at number 5, it says determine the area of the base. So they are giving you the volume, and you need to find the area of the base. So it is a triangular prism, but we're still going to go ahead and divide it. So we still have V equals capital B times H, which is area of the base times the height. So what information did they give us?
The volume is 96.
They gave us the volume, yes, 96. They didn't give us the base, the area of the base, but they did give us the height, didn't they?
Yeah.
So that's 12. So then, in order for me to find out what that is, well, 12 times a number gives me 96. So in order to find that number, then what I would do, I would divide by 12 both sides. It goes back to solving equations. So 96 divided by 12 is 8. So that means the area of the base is going to be 8 square feet. And it's square feet because it is the area of the base. The only difference between number 4 and 5 with 1, 2, and 3 is that now you're going backwards. Now they're giving you volume, so you have to go backwards and divide instead of multiply. So remember, if you're able to substitute, remember to substitute your variables. When you're substituting your variables, that tells you whether you're multiplying or whether you're dividing. So make sure you're using those formulas in order to find out what you're missing. So if you have any questions while you're doing the assignments, make sure that you're asking me. Also, this is your assignment. It is 9 problems. There's some that you have to go backwards, so make sure you're using that formula. Now remember, when they're asking you for area of the base, that's a capital B. That means there's another formula that you need to use in place of capital B, and that's going to be A equals half of base and height if it's a triangle, or A equals base and height if it's a rectangle. Remember to use that. That's your capital B. Always remember that. So I'm going to go ahead and give you your assignment, and you could get started on that.